Any kind of cabling, labeling, custom in-house we do, so any flavor that you might need or number sequence or whatnot. And our enclosures. I'm sure if you ever stopped by the booth saw our 4-post rack that we make internally here in Syracuse. We also have a 2-post rack, and then we also distribute for Hoffman and Great Lakes, which also have booths around the event today. And I'm sure a lot of you know from CXtec, no matter what cable that you ever might think that you're looking for, we probably have it in the warehouse, whether it has 10 inches of dust on it or not. I'm going to guarantee that we probably have it in there. Any questions on the product? Kind of 10 minutes to finish up here. This is kind of the point where, again, whether you choose to use us for your infrastructure or not, these are the things that you need to be asking your infrastructure vendors about, regardless of, again, who you might be using. My background, again, is coming from really the manufacturing side of fiber and also working with OEMs, such as IBM and EMC and storage tech and things of that sort. What we saw a few years back is we saw that the invention of the VCSEL, okay, the implementation of the VCSEL, which is a low-power laser that's being used in all the shortwave transceivers and everything, 1 wave and above. What we saw at that particular time was that, you know, these were micro pennies to produce. And so that's why you see these speeds skyrocketing the way they are, and they're going to continue to skyrocket. Again, we had to come up with a solution. We had to come up with a better system in order to be able to manage this, because everything that we just talked about, okay, just like you said, we're adding connection points. Every time we add connection points, we're adding loss or loss points. Okay, anytime we're adding more cabling, we're adding more loss in. So, in order to give you a true built-out system that's going to be able to be in place for 15 years, okay, not only for the performance, but to be able to manage these fibers, we certainly don't want you going back to point-to-point cabling after we just, you know, did this fantastic design for you. And you're like, well, you know, now I'm running 10 gig, and the only way I can do is with a jumper because I can't go through 3 interfaces. Okay, very important things to consider, because these are the basic statistics that are out there right now about downtime. Okay, I don't know if anybody here has experienced any downtime in your data centers or your environments. Hopefully you haven't, but if you have, you know what a nightmare it is, and that's what we need to think about. 21% of all system outages are related to cable. And I can tell you some nightmare stories. I was just one 2 weeks ago. I was in Nebraska, and there was a major one. What's more important, like we talked about the money for machines, how much money we spend on machines, okay, in comparison to the infrastructure cable. What we need to focus on is what that data through those lines are actually worth. What happens if one of those things go down? What happens if we get chipping errors or channel errors all over the place? How much does that cost? Well, you can kind of see these figures from the Outcom source on what it costs. Brokerage houses, $6.5 million per hour. Credit card systems and so on. Okay? That's the real critical issue. How much does that cost for your downtime? So, what's out there right now, there's really 3 levels of standards that's out there in the industry for fiber optic infrastructure. Number 1, EIA, TIA 568A and B, and 942. Everybody heard of those? All right? Yeah. Those particular standards are probably 98 to 99% of all the cable manufacturers out there, regardless of who they might be, follow. The problem is that all it is really kind of a how to plug in kind of scenario of what you should do. Okay? It gives you no performance requirements. It gives you no catastrophic failure or performance ratings on the particular assemblies. I could buy some cables, some connectors, terminate them in my garage, and I can be compliant. Okay? The next level above that is your Telcordia standards, your GR326 and 1435. That is required by some of the telcos and some companies out there that require you, number 1, to create processes on your assembly line, to collect data, to go through independent lab testing to certify your lines to be Telcordia certified. It requires a very large investment. $600,000 was the latest figure that I heard. It takes about 8 months to do so. But I tell you that less than 1% of the fiber optic manufacturers that terminate product out there are Telcordia certified. That's the truth. And it's required. Okay? But what it does is it requires, again, a process of capturing data to assure that some things that happen out there in the environment don't cause you downtime. So, be careful of when you're talking to vendors, whoever it might be, there's a difference between Telcordia compliant and Telcordia certified. Again, anybody can be compliant. Okay? Have them produce data to be Telcordia certified. Okay? Then you know you're getting those type of ratings. The one above that, Telcordia, is the IBM specifications, and that's like the Telcordia Qualification on steroids. Okay? It requires, again, exhaustive testing, data collection materials, and things of this sort, various different things. Fiber optic manufacturing, if anybody's ever put together fiber optics, okay, even though it's very high tech, a lot of the processes that you put together is very low tech. There's a lot of involvement, a lot of different materials, a lot of things can happen. We won't go into those details now, but these processes are honed and the lines are frozen. Okay? So the product that comes down the line is the same product that you will get from CXtec as the OEMs require in your environment. You would just get a generic housing one rather than an IBM housing. It's very important because there's only 2 worldwide suppliers in that environment. We are one of them. Everyone resides in Europe. Okay? Reason being, again, going back to that factor and machine type of data worth when it's going through the lines, is that IBM always had a philosophy, is that, you know, we were spending millions upon millions of dollars on these machines. The data that they're running through these lines are worth even more. The last thing that you ever want to happen is for something to go down because of a piece of cable. Okay? Those processes assure that that won't happen. So you have that reliability. The second factor comes in, okay, and these are specifications on the cable. The second factor comes in this area. 2004, the 10 gigabit specs were written. Our loss budget shrank down to 2.6 dB from point to point. Okay, everybody know what a loss budget is, correct? Okay? It's basically, you know, when you transmit something on one end and you have to receive it on the other end, you have a certain amount of loss that you can accept inside of the cable. Right? It's like my friend here in the front row was saying that every time you introduce something in between that, you're creating loss. Absolutely right. What's even more critical is that, again, in 2 months, this spec's going to be written. And it's going to be 2 dB. So then we just lost 0.6 dB in our links. Okay? By the end of the year, they say the 100 gig spec will be written, and that's going to be down to 1.5 dB. So we just saw almost a 70% reduction in our dB. So what the heck are we going to do? I'll tell you. Again, if you listen to what I said, and you say, hey, Rick, that's a great idea. It's a way to distribute fiber very well. It's a way to connect everything very easy. But, you know, hey, if I do this full-blown out system, I'm going to have probably 6 or 7 interconnects from point to point. What am I going to do? Well, you're right. If you open up any book out there in the industry right now, this is what you'll see. LC.5 for mated pair, SC.5, and NTP.75. Okay, well, looks like we're in trouble. Okay? Again, if you remember what we talked about, because of those qualifications and the processes that we talked about, this is the starting point. Okay, this is where we start. It's not acceptable, of course, because when we saw these specifications coming, this is what we had to rely on. Okay, this is standard product out the door for CXtec. 0.2 per mated pair for LC, 0.2 for SC, and 0.25 for MTP. The truth is that because the processes are so consistent and so old, okay, we've been doing it for so long, and the data collection points are such that the product is so consistent. Connector 1, you know, 4 years ago, or actually Connector 1 last year, to the 10,000th connector that comes off the line today, it's exactly the same. You'll never have that curve all over the place where you have some good, some bad, up and down, up and down, up and down. They're so consistent that every one comes off the line. In our lab right now, we have 68 interconnects at 300 meters pumping true 10 gig traffic, and we're only at 0.6. Okay? So they actually perform at about 0.05. We're actually going to lower these standards for our max in about a month or so. Okay? But again, they perform well under with that max that we have out. So now, at these rates here, we can still give you those interconnects to build out that system and keep you safe when you're running into the higher speeds. Okay, guaranteed, again, for life. Right? And again, just the percentage factors, 250% to 300% better. We're about 2 to 3 years ahead of where the industry is right now as far as polishing technologies.